Happy new month, Catfish, Scammers, and Lies.
Oh my.
There we go. And for all of you that are listening out there, happy new month. If you're ever talking to someone online and they say happy new month, you might be talking to a scammer.
There's a pretty good chance of it.
There's my best Jeff Foxworthy. I have never heard anyone say happy new month until I've been talking to a scammer. I don't know if that's a Nigeria thing, if that's
There's other cultures that do it, but they don't do it to us.
So
no one in real life has ever wished me a happy new month.
I have.
I mean, besides for in scamming context.
I have definitely wished you a happy new month.
You have, and I wish you a happy new month.
This is our first go around at a podcast, and John and I both talk to scammers for fun, and we post about it on TikTok. My handle on TikTok is Chad Huber, and we have Jersey John. I don't even know what his whole thing is.
I think it's Jersey John's word. I gotta simplify it. Jersey John's words with scammers.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. I know that.
I gotta figure out how to shorten that.
But I thought first we'd talk about how we got started, and I've told my story on there many times, but I'll tell it here very quickly. It's not a exciting story of any kind. Usually I'm asked, hey, you were probably scammed and you're trying to get revenge. It was nothing like that. It was a Christmas. I was home working because I'm a mailman. I have to work, and my kids went with their mom on Christmas vacation to her family's, and I was all alone here, and I started chatting with a scammer and strung her along, and then I deleted the chat thinking that was it. And the next day she came back. and then I started chatting with her some more, and then I started sending screenshots to my buddy. I was like, can you believe how long this is going on? And like every day I'm sending him screenshots, and we're laughing about it. We're like, other people have to be interested in this. And this was like 2019 December, and so then when you come around 2020 and everybody's getting on TikTok, I started posting on there, and everybody wanted to see more, and I just kept doing more and learning as I went, and that's about the the extent of my story. How did you get started doing this?
So I was traveling for work. It was 2017. We're in the process of moving to Florida. We hadn't quite moved yet, and I traveled to Arkansas for work. I'd be there for a week at a time, and scammers are just all over the internet, as you know. Instagram, Words with Friends. That's where I met the majority of mine. I'd play Words with Friends, and I'd play with a few people that I knew, and then you get requests from strangers, and they're usually legitimate. But then I was getting these requests from model-looking girls that would play 2-letter words, 3-letter words, and then after a couple of times, they would send a chat, and it was always like, am so-and-so by name. Where are you chatting from? And they always named places that were famous. They would never pick like a no-name town in a city. It was always Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida. It was, and again, always models. And I chat with them for a little bit, and they all wanted to go to Hangouts or WhatsApp and talk there. And I'd chat with them, and I'd show, again, like you, I would show my wife, I'd show my friends, hey, look at this scammer that I'm talking to. They're asking for money. Look, I just gave them the lyrics to a song, or I gave them a plot to a TV show. And then I saw you on TikTok. I was like, wow, this guy's great. He does what I do, but he's got an audience. And then you and I started talking, and you encouraged me to do the show, and I did it. And you were instrumental in helping me build a following, because you helped push my content from the beginning. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I've had a number of people that have come to me, and I've been like, yeah, it's fun. Let's get it out there. Let's expose this. But also, it's funny content. As we've had a lot of fun with it anyway. I just want to mention this because I thought of this while you were talking. You talk about the big places that they are, because they usually will say Texas, California, New York. I have I don't know what scripts they're sharing, but I have multiple times. Just the other day, I had a Muscatine, Iowa again, and I don't remember which scammer I had from Muscatine, Iowa. I've had one before, so I've had multiple scammers that have been from Muscatine, Iowa. I've had multiple scammers from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Like Ohio is one I've gotten multiple times, and then like sometimes they'll have to find a city, but like sometimes it's a random city that somehow is slipped into a script somewhere. Um, I randomly had a Kansas one once. It never went any. It never went. I was talking to somebody else and it kind of got dropped, is which it happens because I can't do more than I can't. I'm not good at juggling, and it was one that I ended up dropping. But she was from Kansas, and I pressed her on the city, and I ended up looking this up the city that she found, and it was like a city of like 200 people. And it was just one that I was like, I wish I would have done that one because as far as TikTok goes, I always find there's always like somebody's like, hey, I'm from there, I've been there. Like what a random place.
I had
The next, what's that?
uh, Dallas, Texas Roadhouse. You know, they were just looking it up and they found
Yeah.
the Texas Roadhouse, but they threw that in there.
The next question I have is where do you meet scammers? And you said words with friends.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's I want to talk about this a little bit too
yeah,
because this leads into um, kind of when we met. Most of mine now most of mine, pretty much exclusively mine, are from Instagram at this point. I have they do reach out to me on my main Instagram, but I link that to my TikTok. So I pretty much try to block them on there. I have a fake Instagram that is exclusively for scamming. And how do you get so many? Well, as you interact with them, you show up in their people you may know, all of that stuff. So you keep getting more and more of them. And if you have only scammers on there, it's just multiplying in scammers. But when I first started out, that's not. I was struggling. Like the very first one came off of this random like social app where you kind of like I can't even remember what it's called now. Where you kind of push things out there. Like that you're thinking or feeling or whatever, and it kind of became a cesspool of scammers. And I found Samantha on there, and then I was like trying dating apps, and I was struggling. I think I found one on Facebook, and I hadn't like didn't have a place to find them. And in fact, you and I started talking because you had reached out to me and I was asking you about it. And you're like, well, I find mine on Words with Friends. So I started playing Words with Friends and I've got all these games going. I remember talking to you and I'm like, why am I not getting scammers? I've got 10 games going that I don't want to play. And then it's like, well, you just need to take more turns. Well, I don't want to take any of these turns. I just want to talk to a scammer. And then it was somewhere in there that you were like, I'm like, I need a scammer. I'm like, you don't happen to have one, and you passed me along one for me to reach out to, which I normally don't do. And that was the beginning. And I was watching, going back because I knew we were going to talk about this. I was going back and watching some of these. I didn't get all the way through, but of Mary Your Hole, that scammer that you gave me. Her name was Mary.
Mary
Um,
was her full name.
and I started chatting with her. And since I reached out to her, it was kind of slow at the beginning, but then she got into it, and eventually, and we can get into that too if we want to. But she reveals that she really is a poor Nigerian woman named URHOLE Eunice, and they do the family name first, so so Eunice. But I saw that URHOLE, and I knew that was funny, and so I just kept calling her URHOLE. Um, and then I said to you, wouldn't it be funny if we're talking to the same scammer at the same time so we can kind of see how that's going on? And so that we are both talking to URHOLE. And as I was watching it today, my storytelling back then was so much worse than what I do now. Like I've kind of developed how I dramatize this. We only had 1 minute. So I'm trying to cram as much story into 1 minute as I can. And I cannot believe how many URHOLE jokes I missed. Like I had them in the print. You could see the URHOLE jokes in the print, but I didn't say it. And I'm looking at my phone going, why aren't you saying it? The joke's right there. You wrote it out.
You know what came up on my memory today? 2 years ago today, I started that your whole joke of the day, where I do like a 10-second video and just read a line from our conversation where your whole is mentioned. Like, uh, why are you not writing me up, your whole? Just things like, something that I said to her in a conversation that sounds funny with your whole in it. And every day I did one for a while. And today, 2 years ago, was the first one that I did.
I
So it's
kept I
funny.
kept I kept going through video after video, and it's like I miss your whole, and I see it in print, but I'm not saying it. Why am I not? I'm like, why am I not saying it? That was the point of me calling her your whole all the time. And I do say it sometimes, but not as much as I should have been.
Yeah, and you picked up on that right away, that your whole business and how funny it was. And then once you said it, you can't unhear it.
No, and like going through it, some of the stuff that I forgot. And for our audience out there, if you haven't seen it, it's on my playlist. It's on John's playlist. Um, Mary your whole. At first, she calls herself Mary. And when I was rewatching this, I'm surprised at how she outed herself. Like it wasn't even like I called her out. She got to a point where she realized she was not, I mean, it was a smart move, really. She realized she was not going to get money from me. She was trying to say she had a son that lived overseas and he needed money and he needed game or whatever, and I played the father figure because I got the son's Google and I started talking. I always try to get multiple characters if I can. I started yelling at him, trying to be this father figure, but they weren't getting money out of me. So then she outs herself, and she had the video of this young 20-year-old Nigerian woman that says she's in love with me. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is getting serious. You need to stop." And then she keeps telling me she wants to marry me and she wants to move here and all of this stuff. And I don't know. I don't, because you're married and you come from that angle. Why don't you talk about that? Because I'm talking a lot. But why don't you talk about how you use
So
the married
so
angle?
so yeah. So I, from the very beginning, I told her that I was married and I wasn't interested in any kind of romance. And right away, she outed herself, not as your whole at then, but she told me, I called her out right away on being a scammer, and she admitted it. That yes, she's really from Nigeria, and I was done with her. But then you started talking to her because I gave her to you, and you're like, it'd be fun to see another angle and see a different side of her. So I picked up again and started talking with her. But yeah, so I played the part of the married man, and listen, I'm not interested. And for the most part, uh, she respected that. But then she, once in a while, and you could tell when it was someone else using the account, would try to get the sexy talk going. And then I played it off like I have a relative, I have a cousin, or I have friends that I can set you up with, because she was desperate to get married. So I was picking celebrities out of a hat, and I was like, all right, here's my friend so and so. Here's my cousin Vinny, who's Vinny from the Jersey Shore. And then I ended up creating a character of Vinny from the Jersey Shore who spoke to her. And I spoke to her as Vinny while you were dating her too. And we got a whole storyline going.
So she was asking me if I, because I was not giving her enough attention. She wanted to get married, or she wanted to come to the United States. She was poor. Everybody on, I remember everybody on TikTok was like, "You need to end this one. This one's serious. She really needs help." And it couldn't have worked out more perfect, because she had sent me to your hole's chat away from Mary's. And while that's going on, all of a sudden Mary started chatting with me, like forgetting that we had been chatting. And now Mary is talking to me, and it's clearly somebody different that doesn't know. And I called Mary. I'm like, what? I basically was like, why are you chatting with me over here now, your whole? I'm confused. And then that chat died. But that was my like, guys, look, this is a scamming ring. This is not just a girl that's poor. She's playing me over here, and that's kind of how I started to win people back. And
Yes.
then that was when she also started calling me incessantly and
Me too.
calling me and calling me. And then she
And
needed money for college.
and she wasn't one of the ones that just called to get attention. She called, she wanted to talk. Like, you know how we get people that call us just to get our attention. When we answer, there's nobody there or their camera's not on. She was there. She would have had a full on conversation if we picked up any of those times that she called us.
I was avoiding that at that point again because TikTok was at one time not on my side. But anyway, um,
Remember, then she created Abita. You spoke
yes,
to
Abita.
Abita just and Abita was another character that she created to try to scam us, and you know, she would talk to me as Abita, or she talked to my cousin Vinny as Abita, and it'd be like the same conversation she was having with that Vinny was having with your whole. I was having with Abita, so it was the same. It was so obvious that it was the same person, and finally she confessed that yes, she's Abita. After I pretended to be in love with Abita.
Yeah, so that was kind of how we met, and we got started as we talked to your whole together. Um, I get as we do this, and as we continue to post, and as I continue to gain followers, and I continue to get some of the same questions over and over again. How do you know someone's fake?
So there's so many red flags to someone that's fake. The deer is a dead giveaway. Someone that is in love with you right away, or has feelings for you, who is overly loving or overly complimentary in a short period of time without even getting to know us. That
I
right,
I
red flag.
I, the first thing for me, when you have somebody that looks like too good to be true, that's sliding into my DMs. Anytime somebody is sliding into my DMs and it's not a dating site, they're telling me I look intriguing. Need not go any further. But yeah, then you start to have the "I love you" really fast. And yeah, the deers, um, the am, starting the sentence with the am, the kind of broken English in that kind of way. Um, anyway, those are some red flags of the day,
Yeah.
along with Happy New Month. Um,
Have you eaten?
yeah, if they ask if you've eaten all the time.
Bright is the shadow that my true love casts. Dark is the light he shares. If I could only have one more night, I'd forgive him, I
I want to
swear.
come back and do a couple would you rather's. I was looking at some would you rather's
Okay.
before I came on here. So my original thought was like, hey, can I do like would you rather catfish edition? But I could not like come up with anything good off the top of my head. But I did find some would you rather's on here. So first one, would you rather be chased by a zombie or chased by a lion?
I'd rather be chased by a zombie because a lion, all its life, its instinct was to hunt and to kill. A zombie is new at it usually, and if they're experienced, then they're starting to decay and they probably don't have much left to them. Their bodies aren't lasting that longer. And most of the zombie movies I've seen, the zombies don't move that fast and they're not that bright. Where a lion is cunning and can jump, and you know, a lion can
My
do.
my first my first instinct was I can get away from a zombie faster. But as I thought about this, where there is a zombie, there's a lot more zombies.
That's
And they keep coming and they keep coming. And I don't feel like lions are multiplying like zombies. Like if there is a lion or like they how do they hunt together?
I don't know. I'm trying to
The
think of the
lionesses maybe?
specials I've watched. You see them as like family. So a male and a female lion and their cubs. The male goes out to hunt. The
No,
female.
no. The male lion, he's like sitting back waiting for his wife to bring him the food. Like they're
Oh,
usually like
wife
the
that hunt.
the wives hunt,
Okay,
but they might hunt together. I don't know. They probably hunt together. The lady folk.
I don't know, but there are
I,
lots. I think I can fight. You're right though. A horde of zombies. See, but you said a zombie or a lion. I'd rather have a zombie chasing me, not a horde of zombies.
okay. All
I've watched.
right.
Yeah, I don't think I can fight a horde of
I
zombies.
just was thinking as where there's one zombie, there are more
That's
zombies, and
but
where there's a lion, there might be another one or two. But if I can get away from, but you're right, yeah, I don't know, I don't know. Okay, that was one. I don't know if that's any good or not, but Okay, here I got one. Well, I have a couple others, but I'm gonna do
Okay.
this one. Would you rather spend a week in the forest or a night in a haunted house?
Ooh. What supplies would I have in the forest? Like stranded in the forest or prepared? Like I could have gear and a tent and supplies.
I think if you have those things, I think it's a given.
Okay. So
Well,
so
maybe not, unless you're intrigued by the haunted mansion.
yeah. Uh,
I think I could handle a night in a haunted house.
I don't think I could, depending on how haunted it was.
I think I would take the one night in the haunted house. I want to see what's in there.
I don't know. Haunted houses scare me, so I'd go for the a week in the forest. I'll make do as long as it's not extreme.
Because the more I'm thinking about this, I'm like, even if I have a tent, I want it. Like I would be in that forest the whole week, going, "What's in the haunted house? What's happening in there? I want to find out."
In the haunted house, but I wouldn't want to spend the night there. I've watched enough movies.
All right, touche.
That's just me. I'm sorry.
I have another. I'll give you one more of these that I have on here. Another. Would you rather? Because I did write down three. Would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef?
Oh, so I'm gonna say personal maid because my wife cooks really well, and I think someone to clean would. I would rather have somebody to clean than someone to cook because my wife already does a great job cooking. So I'm gonna stick with
Oh,
personal.
I am 100% in the personal chef category. I don't have a wife here, and I get home with children many times to an empty home at 5:30, and it would be nice to have the personal chef with the food ready to go instead of me having to quick cook something while I'm hungry or having fast food for whatever driving kids to wherever they're driving. It'd be nice to have that home cooked meal ready. Defend is an organization that's based in Canada that helps, and their mission is to help vulnerable people who are being sought after by predators online. Um, and they are. You can go to helpusdefend.com to find out more about them. But they're looking to develop their own social media platform. 65 Square they're working on, as well as dating site. I've seen some of the things and ideas that they have and have developed for that dating site, which with games and things on there. It looks like a lot of cool stuff that they have on there. So that is Defend, and you can go to helpusdefend.com to see more about them. All right, I'll move into the scammer word of the day, and we wouldn't be a good first episode if we didn't say the first scammer word of the day is alaye.
LA, LA.
Alaye. The yay is the last part. I believe it's alaye. I've got a friend on from TikTok that's on Instagram, and she has friends in Nigeria. She's worked with nonprofits, I believe, and so she helps me with pronunciations and helps me with translations. And if she doesn't know, she'll send it to them, and then she sends me screenshots of her friends over there, like horrified. Who said this to you? um, but basically, alaye is translates to just like my guy, but it's like their code word for my guy. Are you a scammer? Because I'm like it's so they know it's a fellow scammer that they're talking to. So they'll throw that out there, and I always like I don't speak Spanish or something like that.
That's usually what I say. I don't
Yeah,
speak Spanish.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's their way of feeling us out. Like, hey, are you my guy? Are you one of us? So don't say it back to them unless you want to end the scam. Because if you say it back to them, then they'll realize that you're
They'll ask you how to hustle.
how to hustle.
How to hustle. That's what you
Hey,
might get, and you'll be like, doing all right out here. I don't know.
yeah, mezza half and half. That's Italian. That's not scammer.
See, this is where I'm new and I'm not prepared. Like I got these questions. I'm like, I don't know if we go there from your whole.
So there's a lot of people that like to mess with scammers. They don't do shows on it, but they like to do it the way we started. And my advice is don't correct them when they have improper English. Like, don't say, "Oh, I know you're not an American," because Americans wouldn't say "am," or Americans wouldn't ask how the weather conditions are. So don't teach them how to scam more better. So it may be fun to mess with them, but don't call them out on how you know that they're not a scammer, because they're only going to improve.
There's a whole website. Like I had no idea this world existed of scam baiting. Do you remember what it's called? It's
They're,
like at the tip. It's at the tip of my tongue.
you talking about the guys from YouTube?
No, there's like a blog where people post this stuff, and I only found out about it from um, when I started posting. I would get people that were
The Reddit. There's a whole Reddit community that does it.
there is that too, but um, see now I'm googling. I'm like I'm gonna oh the 419 eater, largest scam baiting community on the planet.
Oh wow.
And I've gone and looked at it, but not much. And see now I'm on here. It's like all of these blogs of people doing the same thing that we now I have all these tabs open that I don't want open. What just happened here? 419 eater, is that what I said?
Eater. Eater.
There's a lot of people out there do my advice would be along with that, my advice would be if you are talking with them to use all fake stuff. And of course because they could be trying to like steal your identity or steal your account or that kind of stuff. But also because you'll get a lot more scam stuff from those, and just to differentiate some of your life in that kind of regard. If you're setting up Google Chat, have a fake email address that you're using. If you're setting up WhatsApp, use Google Voice to create a fake phone number and then sign up on WhatsApp with that phone number, because you don't want them having access to your real phone number or your real email, because they share that information and then more scammers will be contacting those numbers, and you'd rather have them compartmentalized
Yes.
on the scammer side.
And
um,
not only that, some of the good ones will pay for some of those sites, like the Ben Verified or any of those kind of PI sites where you type your phone number into it or your email address, and they'll find out your home address, your relatives. Like I've told you this, Chad. I've had ones where they've traced my family, my home, just based on my phone number. So don't use your real phone number.
right. So that would be my other advice. Let me do this one. Since we were talking about your hole, we were talking about your hole a lot.
We were.
Um, your hole was beautiful. Your hole was young and smart. Um, question I got early on, and I haven't gotten as much lately, but aren't you just making fun of people in a third world country? Aren't you just making fun of, making light of people in a bad situation? Is a question I would get quite often. And my answer would simply be, I if I am not being funny or having fun, the exposure is not going to be there to expose these scammers. Like that's the catalyst for exposing them. It started off as something fun and funny, but there is a real serious side, and we'll get into these in later episodes too, of the many people that have reached out to both of us seeking help for themselves or family members. Um, if I don't do the funny and just try to be serious, I'm never going to blow up. I'm not going to have TikToks that are reaching 1 million. It's just not, that's not what's. It's not going to happen. So um, we are having fun. And we're having fun with people that are I'm like that are contacting us. I'm
Right.
not going out and trying to contact these people. They are contacting me and I'm just playing their game. That's the way I look at it. And they're trying to take my money and they see me as the enemy. They don't see me as a friend. So I don't know what your last words are on that.
Yeah. So, and I also see them as someone that could steal from my mother, who's in her 70s, or my dad, or someone's grandmother who doesn't know any better and who's thinking they're helping someone. I would I would rather waste their time. And again, I'm not making fun of them just because I give them song lyrics or lines from Back to the Future. I'm not making fun of them. I'm trying to entertain people and spread awareness at the same time. And if I'm talking to them and not giving them Steam cards, then your grandmother might not be talking to them and giving them Steam cards. So the more time of theirs that we waste, the less time they have to scam someone who would actually fall for it. So we're wasting their time.
And with that, thank you for watching and or listening. Happy New Month, everybody.
Happy New Month.